time for another midnight review, and this one's pretty special to me. It was Christopher Robin by Disney. Disney's been doing these live action remakes, Jungle Book, Cinderella. They're doing Mary Poppins later this year, I believe. Beauty and the Beast. They're just continuing to make these live action remakes, which I mean, most of them are half of them so far, I would say, are pretty good. Jungle Book was pretty good, and I gotta say, Christopher Robin was pretty good too as well. It's interesting because they do try to do that. Um, movie Up had that opening, you know, segment that pretty much everybody cried, and they almost got you on this one too. They start off with pretty much, a farewell to Christopher Robbins as he pretty much leaves the 100 Acre Woods for, to grow up pretty much and be an adult. And they go through a whole timeline of, what they were, Pooh and Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, and all them were doing at the 100 Acre Woods while, Christopher Robbins was growing up, which I'll say right now, it's interesting to see. I mean, it makes sense that Christopher Robbins would get drafted for World War II, of course, living in England and everything. But it just seems weird to say Christopher Robbins is a World War II veteran, and I don't know, like it's like, yeah, it. I mean, in all honesty, yeah, it makes sense that, yeah, that probably would have happened, but it still seems weird to say Christopher Robin was in World War II. It looked like he was probably like an officer or something, communications most likely. So they didn't have him quite, holding a gun or shooting or anything like that. He was literally, the only scene they show is him on a phone. So I mean, I don't know if that's too much spoiler. I mean, it is pretty much in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So yeah, but that, I just wanted to say, it was pretty interesting. There's not really too much to spoil in this movie because you kind of see what is gonna come as you watch it. But man, it's just, yeah, I gotta applaud for one, the music, because it wasn't overbearing. It was very subtle, but it had that feel of an old, Winnie the Pooh movie. They did edit and change the songs a little bit, but they made them more, wholesome and subtle, so they weren't, over blaring. They weren't up front, but you heard them, and it does hit those emotions. So, man, it was such a throwback for me, growing up with Winnie the Pooh. Uh, I took my mother to go see it because we both like Winnie the Pooh a lot. And man, like, this is definitely, there's some stuff in here for kids, but it's more or less for the adults, who grew up with this. It's it's pretty much saying, it's like, yeah, we gotta grow up and be responsible, but we need time to be ourselves, to have fun, to relax, to do nothing, because from nothing something will happen. um, which I think that the movie does pretty well. The first, half was setting everything up, and you get into the journey of Christopher Roberts coming back to be who he was after forgetting who he was. And Pooh, of course, is Pooh, silly old bear, the bear of little brain. But man, it was just, the voice of Pooh, was, spot on. Tigger, spot on. Of course, it's the same guy. Jim, I believe it's Jim Cummings does it. Originally, he was the Tigger voice, but he got into the role of Pooh, or vice versa. I forget which one was first, but the one thing I was interested in that didn't quite happen was the voice actor for Eeyore, which unfortunately I don't remember his name right now, but he is originally he was the voice of Optimus Prime, did the same voice for Eeyore, and in here it's Brad Garrett, which, I mean, it's still, sounds like Eeyore and everything, but I kind of would like to have heard the original voice of Eeyore. I think it would have, I don't know, like, I liked it. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't too bad or too, um, it didn't, like, too jarring or anything like that, but I don't know, like, there's just something about the original voice that he just, he's saying all these things that supposed to make you depressed, but it doesn't feel that way when he said it. But yeah, so as far as they have a couple of live action animals, which is rabbit and owl, which, I mean, works. Yeah, it makes sense because, of course, why would a kangaroo be live action in England? uh, as well as, I mean, I guess Piglet could have, but come on, it's Piglet. He has to be the cute little, stuffed animal Piglet, which, I do like their designs because they're more the original designs, more practical of how, an actual stuffed animal of that time would be. So, man, it was such a trip down memory lane. Watching the movie, there's some good jokes in there. There's some funny stuff. Things that you don't see in a lot of movies, especially movies that are like this. It's just the way that Pooh interacts with Christopher Robin. Just everything works so well. It was a great movie, man. Like, it's, I don't know, man. It's just, I mean, it's like I said, it's for people who grew up with Winnie the Pooh are getting into it more than kids, which is interesting because it's a more grown up. It's pretty much it's direct sequel to Winnie the Pooh. Um, what happens to Christopher Robin, and that's why it's called Christopher Robin and not The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So it was good. Definitely recommend it. Anyone that ever watched or grew up with Winnie the Pooh, I think you'll get the most satisfaction out of it. But yeah. So until next time, guys. Later.